Digital Performer is widely used for composing music for picture. Let's explore how to use sequence chunks as part of the film scoring process. I'll start off by opening the movie window. I'll double-click the movie in the sidebar to open it into an independent window. The first thing I notice is that the movie has a SMPTE burn-in window displayed, and the SMPTE location of the start of the movie does not match the SMPTE location in the DP sequence. So I'll fix that. I'll right-click on the movie to get the mini-menu that allows me to set the movie start time. I'll enter the displayed SMPTE time from the movie. So now if I locate to the start of the movie, its SMPTE burn-in matches the SMPTE time in DP. I also want to make sure that I've set the correct frame rate for the DP sequence. The frame rate of this movie is 29.97 non-drop. One way to check that you've got the correct frame rate set is to locate to the end of the movie and make sure the frame location matches there as well as at the beginning. The movie matches the DP SMPTE counter, so I'm ready for the next step. Now I need to decide where the music will start in the movie. In this case, the director is given a specific SMPTE location where he wants the first musical cue. So I'll create a marker with a key command. I'll name the marker and lock it to SMPTE time. I'll change the location of the marker to the SMPTE time specified by the director for the start of the first musical cue. I'll click on the marker to locate to that point. This is the frame where I want the music to start. So I'm at the correct frame location, but the bar number displayed by DP is not where I want to start composing music. I want my music to start at bar number 1. I'll do that by going to this menu and choosing Set Chunk Start Time. What I want to do is reference bar number 1 to this current SMPTE location. So I'll enter that SMPTE location and press OK. So now when I rewind the sequence to bar 1, you can see that the movie and SMPTE display are in the correct place in relation to bar 1. One last thing before I start composing music. I'd like a pickup bar, so I'll locate DP to bar 0 and reset the sequence chunk start time. Now I'll set the sequence start to bar 0 and enter the corresponding SMPTE location. Now you can see that when I rewind to the beginning of the sequence, I'm at bar 0, and when I press play, bar line number 1 still lines up with where I want the music to start. You can see the scene in the movie change right at the bar 1 location. I've gone ahead and done some more work to this project. I'll open the Chunks window and switch to a sequence chunk where music has been composed for this cue. So here's our first sequence cue. You can see the pickup bar and the music starting at bar 1. Let's give that a quick listen. So now the first piece of music has been written and created in the correct location in the movie. The problem is, if I now want to write music for a second or third cue, if I locate further in the movie, I'm no longer at bar 1 in the sequence. Besides being confusing to start music at something other than bar 1, there's also the potential for problems if I edit the first cue. That could mess up the start times of music that happen later in the same sequence. The solution is to create separate sequence chunks for each musical cue. Each sequence chunk can reference a different start location in the movie. For example, I've set up cue number 2, and when I play enable that sequence chunk, you see that I've set up a new sequence start location in the movie, and I've set up a pickup bar, so I've got a count in for the first bar of cue number 2. I've set up a third cue and referenced this sequence to where I want my third piece of music to start, and as you see, I've got my pickup bar, and then the third cue starts at its own bar 1. Now I've written music for 3 different cues that are at 3 separate locations within the same movie. Now it's time to glue the whole thing together so I can watch the movie and all 3 cues in a row. I'll do that by setting up a song window. A song window is a container for sequence chunks. I've already dropped in the first 2 cues at their respective SMPTE locations. I'll insert a column from the song window mini-menu. This allows me to specify a SMPTE start time for a sequence chunk. I'll set the column time to the SMPTE start time for cue number 3. There's the new column, and now I can drag the sequence chunk for cue number 3 from the chunks window to the column in the song window. I'll select all the cues and choose Copy Conductor Tracks from the mini-menu. I'll also merge all the markers from the sequence chunks into the song. Now you can see the sequence markers appearing in the song window. And the last thing I'll do is select all the chunks in the song window and choose Merge Chunks to Sequence from the song window mini-menu. I get a window that allows me to merge tracks with identical names. This way I don't end up with duplicates of similar tracks. I've also set up a VRAC to run my virtual instruments, so all the old and new sequence chunks are using a common set of instruments. I'll press OK, and DP makes a new sequence chunk. I'll set the chunk start time for the new sequence, and that start time will be where the original first cue started. Now I'll enable the new sequence and display its sequence edit window. There's the start of the first cue. I'll go to the markers window, which has preserved the markers from the original sequence chunks, and I can locate to the start of the next cue. If I zoom out, you can see that the second cue is in the same sequence as the first cue, just further down the timeline. I'll play a little bit of that second cue. Now I'll zoom out a little further to display the third musical cue. Locate to that point and play. Now it's very easy to go to any point in the movie and listen to the corresponding musical cue. If I need to make any edits to any of the cues, I can go back to the original sequence chunk for that cue and make a change, and that change won't affect the timing of any other cues. After the edit, I can go back to my song window and make a new master sequence that includes the new edit. And that's the power of using multiple sequence chunks for film scoring in Digital Performer.